something we talk a lot about is trail family. You want to try to describe what that means to you, or?
Well, on the Trans Am, you're all kind of undergoing this kind of incredible experience that few people understand. You're kind of out on the road, and I think it's not just the Trans Am. I think any long routes where you end up, the cyclists kind of end up in the same pattern together. They like each day they're kind of going the same direction, so you kind of end up in this kind of bubble of people who know each other that may or may not even see each other each day, but they're all kind of in this shared experiencing, talking like back and forth, right? And so you end up kind of creating some really strong friendships because you're undergoing something that nobody else really is.
Going into like the Trans Am, you want to describe meeting Annalisa and I the first time?
Well, we were on the side of a road where we had just seen this like really beautiful mansion, and we were looking at it, and the guy came out to the road and said, "Hey, you want a tour?" We're like, "Sure." And as we came out, we saw like a girl go by on a touring bike, and that was Taylor. And I said to my wife, I'm like, "Hey, like somebody just went by on a touring bike." So we went down the road to a church, and that person was there. That was Taylor. She was there, and we were talking to Taylor, and then all of a sudden Eric goes flying by on his bike, and she goes, "That's Eric," and he yells out, "Warm down," and disappeared down the road. Then he came back and went by again, started riding circles, and eventually he landed. So we met Eric, and then like a little ways behind him, then Annalisa came. So we all ended up in a church together, and that's where we met everybody. They had a stocked kitchen, I think, that we made dinner in, and we slept in the sanctuary.
Yeah, that's nice. That's when Donna taught me about a leave, because my back hurt.
That's right. Right. I showed Taylor how to patch tubes, and Donna showed you a leave because your back was bugging you. And I think you pulled out like a full bottle of wine out of your panniers or something. My name is Doug Strange, and we're in Laverne, California.
Or some of like the bigger surprises of the Trans Am?
What we experienced most that would have been hard to understand was just being out on the road that long and gone is how much you feel like you just kind of, your life just becomes real simple. Like you can hear that, but it was kind of fun to experience it. And I think it's one of the things you look back and you're like, God, life was so simple. When just every day I just had to figure out where to eat and where I was going to spend the next night.
Do you want to talk maybe about traveling with Donna, or what was it like traveling like as a pair?
Yeah, going with your wife. So that's something that we'll talk to different people about. Like, it was common on the Trans Am to find people who would start with somebody and finish with somebody different. But that's not an option when the partner is your wife. And so I would often talk to people. When you go, with your wife, I tell couples who are considering, I'm like, so you need to make sure that you really, really value most being together, and that you each are willing to just kind of adjust your speed and your style, and to ride with the other person. And that can really show up when you're in like steep hills. Where, like Donna is small and I'm large, right? And so I'll fly down hills. She has to pedal down hills, that gives you a lot of momentum up the next hill. And it's easy to kind of put distance between each other. And so you just have to, be comfortable just kind of like waiting for the other when one is in their area of strength and the other's in their area of weakness, and and work together. And so that actually can be hard for some couples. Can be a test.
Do you always consider yourself an athletic person?
Oh, absolutely not. No, like team sports, I was always the last one to be picked on the team. Like no athletic ability. So. But I love being outdoors, I love being active, and so it's kind of fun to get to do something active, even though you feel like you're a klutz. I remember when my kids were toddlers, I had met this woman who was into bike riding and some racing and organized rides, and I thought, wow, that is so cool, but I missed my bus, I missed that season. I won't ever do that. And so here I am. My kids are young adults, and I'm bike riding. You can do it at any time. You don't have to be in a certain age or athletic ability.
Do you want to tell us a little bit about what we're doing this Monday and
Yeah.
having just what it's been like to have us back?
Yeah. So Annalisa and Eric are starting their third tour. Well, I don't know, lots of tours, but their Santa Monica to Santa Fe, New Mexico tour, and they stopped here and presented at the REI in Arcadia, and then they went to Quail Summit School and presented to fourth graders, which was a lot of fun to watch. And so it's been great to have them here at our house, and they're taking off for the weekend to do another presentation in Santa Monica, but then we're all going to ride together on Monday down towards San Diego for a couple days and start them off on the next leg of their bike ride. So we'll camp together and so it's great.
Story from yesterday.
So yesterday we were in Show Low, Arizona, and we had about 50 miles to go for the day. And it was all mostly downhill. I started riding maybe 1 or 2 hours before Eric, and we had this ridiculous tailwind that was just pushing us. Like every time I stopped, I could just feel the wind at my back, and I was like, oh, I should get back on my bike. and then Google Maps told me to take a right onto this like dirt road. It was like a double track. It kind of looked like an ATV road. And I just went with it, because if I were to turn around and go back to the main road, I would be going against a headwind, and that would have taken me like so many more hours to get back. So I just started down this road, and at first I was a little annoyed that it was like really bumpy and sandy in some parts, but then I was like, you know what? It's like I'm mountain biking, you know? Like I should just enjoy it. So for a while I was just trying to enjoy the road. But then it just kind of went back and forth between hard rock and hard sand to like just deep sand that I would have to push my bike through. And so I just went back and forth between like riding and like cruising and then getting off my bike to push it. And at one point I turned left onto what Google said was a road, but it didn't really look like a road. It was just like, it looked like an old riverbed, like an old stream bed. And it was just pure sand, and I was just pushing my bike through it, and there was like all this poop everywhere. I don't know what animal it was, probably like horse poop. But I just kept pushing my bike, and I was like cursing the whole time and screaming. But then I saw what I thought was a mirage, which was like in the distance, the like sand had turned to hard dirt. That like got me so excited. So I just like kept pushing my bike, and I was so excited to like, perhaps I was able to, you know, get back on my bike and actually ride it, because the like surface would have been hard. So I like start running towards it, and then I realize there's this barbed fence just blocking me from continuing down this road. And at that point, I just called the national park that we're going to. I called Petrified National Forest. And
too soon?
No, it's good. It's good. I called Petrified National Forest, and this lovely woman picked up the phone. I think her name was Susan. And she actually warned me that there were, like, I should turn around because there are bad people in this park. And so I turned around, and I was informed by her that I should probably just call 911 to get like the sheriff or a deputy to rescue me. I know his first name was Jesus. Oh, Deputy Estrada. And he picked me up, and he was a really interesting character. He was from Mexico, and he was telling me he grew up in Tucson. He came here for the academy, and he was just telling me all the trauma that he's experienced in his job. He's seen things like a man committing suicide on train tracks, and just a lot of different suicide attempts. And he was telling me about his perspective on it, and that he experiences all of this trauma, and he just tries not to bring it back to his family. And he tries to just take each incident, like incident by incident, and he doesn't bring that negativity like into his next call. And he just had a really positive attitude, which was refreshing. And he told me the craziest call that he got was that I think a husband he threw a hot dog at his wife, and it actually eventually ended up going to court. So it's interesting to see just the different calls that he gets, from rescuing a biker to someone hitting someone with a weenie to like suicide attempts. So he has an interesting job for sure.
How do you feel the next day?
The next day I feel great. I feel like I learned my lesson not to follow Google Maps so precisely. But we're here in Petrified National Forest right now, and we're backcountry camping. We're not that far from the road, but it still feels like we can't last night it was just so quiet. You couldn't hear anything because cars are just not even allowed in this park after 7. So it was just really peaceful.
Anything else?
I'm excited to explore Petrified National Forest today. Take some pictures. And be on actual pavement, which feels so good after pushing my bike through the sand.
Hey guys, brothers. What's your names?
Hi.
This is a video.
I'm Jeremiah.
Nice.
And then this is Kai.
What do you guys think about being out here?
It's really fun traveling.
What do you like about it?
We get to see like all around the U.S. And we get to see so much cool stuff. Like I don't know what to say. It's just really fun. I like it a lot. And Kai just grabbed my arm.
What's it like to have somebody like cyclists in your home, or maybe like why do you do it?
Well, we do it because we experienced so much generosity from Warm Showers hosts when we were touring. So that is something that like we want to continue to pay back. And we also just enjoy having contact with people who are doing this sort of thing because it is so fun. And if we had a different, economic and life situation, we would probably do it more than we do. One thing that cycling does that car touring doesn't is like you move quickly, but you also go slowly, and you just have time to interact with all of these sort of tangible and intangible things about the places you are in. I mean, you feel the weather, you feel the landscape, you feel how people are, on a day-to-day basis, their expectations, their generosity, and it's always great to interact with people who are having that, sort of experience over like a long time, months, sometimes years, and encountering the world that way.
What's it like to bike pack with Elizabeth?
She's high maintenance. But at the same time, like, no matter what it is, it's like so enthusiastic, right? So at least like there's like always like a motivation to do something new or try something different or get out there, because like a lot of people don't have that, like they're not like they're not willing to be uncomfortable or to get themselves in a situation where they're uncertain about what to do, and she's willing to do that, and that's what I really appreciate too.
I truly enjoy that, getting somewhere on my own. Like I powered this vehicle and got myself here. I feel like it's extremely rewarding. I feel like I've heard you guys kind of mention that a couple times, and other cyclists that we've interacted with kind of feel the same way. I don't know how to make everyone else in the world realize that riding a bike will put a huge smile on your face. It's really, it's kind of that thing, even where it's like, oh, if I want to go for a bike ride, I'll have to put on like pants, these like cycling shorts that are dopey looking. Oh, I'll have to put on this helmet. Oh, I have these gloves. Oh, does my bike have air in the tires? And for me, there's sometimes there's like this hump of like, I have to get through that to get on the bike, and sometimes I won't go because I'm like, oh, I don't feel like doing that. I'll just like read a book. As soon as I get on the bike, it's like being 5 again when you're like, we're given a bicycle and realize that you can just, it feels like you're flying. This whole kind of like freedom and that big smile on your face that you can't wipe it off.
How's it kind of feel to have so many people come in your house?
It feels good. I'm pretty extroverted, and I wasn't too worried about it when we first started. I feel like we definitely had some warm showers hosts when we were touring that were much more, I don't know, like run of the mill, like this guy I told you about who got called into work at the last minute and wasn't able to even be at his house the weekend we were there. And he was just like, oh yeah, keys are in the mailbox, like make yourself at home. And I was just like, this guy doesn't even know us. Like we've only emailed, we've never actually spoken. And he was just like, yeah, whatever, here's my house. I don't feel like I could do that, but I want to. Like some part of me wants, I believe that people are intrinsically good, and that while maybe it's what we see on the news, but I do think that there's also just a general fear-based thinking that most humans participate in. Like there's a fear of all of these things that might happen if, instead of thinking about it in terms of what I think on the other side of that is like the opposite would be love. Just kind of like open your house up and be like, when I was riding and I was like a stinky or like wet, like bedraggled cyclist or whatever, like how many people were just like, yeah, come on in. Like you guys had said, like we weren't even intending to stay with some of these people and they saw us like at the grocery store and like, hey, do you need somewhere to stay? And that was, I didn't realize that how important or like how my experience with like cycling and touring would become really about that. Like there's the element of like riding a bike is fun, and like we talked a little bit about like romantic notion of like, oh, every road's gonna be flat, there's always gonna be a sunset at the end and like a lady on the side of the road selling a pie and it's free for you because you're riding a bike kind of thing. You know, there's a little bit of that, but once you start doing it, you realize that there's just a world full of fantastic people out there that aren't awful despite what the news tells you. Like they're just the exact opposite of it. The first cyclist we ever hosted was a guy who was probably like 19 or 20. He was from the UK and he was doing a round the world ride. And I asked him at that point in time, it was before we had done any like touring at all, and I was like, if you could give me one piece of advice, what would that be? And he said, if you're starting to feel like the world's an awful place, go on a bike tour. Because he was like, you will quickly find that there's like no one out there who's a jerk. Like there really just aren't. Okay, there's some people driving really big trucks and they're jerks while you're like on the road, but for the most part, like people are just, they're wonderful.